Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host for Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. You can find us on the television set two different ways. You can find us on channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's up in North Alabama. Another way is worldwide, and that's on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending email, by the way. It just makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. Continue finding us on Facebook. We like to do Facebook Live, all social media sites. You can find us there as well. And thank you again so much for your content. You're the reason we do this, okay, and all of your input. And I do listen to and watch every single mail you send out to me. I have Jonathan Berryhill with me right now, and he's actually from around my neck of the woods in Alabama. You live in North Alabama, is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. We live on our family farm in Anderson, Alabama, just in between Florence and Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, that's a good neck of the woods to be in right there.
That's right.
Absolutely. Now, you are an author, speaker. You own your own business, and tell us a little bit more about your background and what inspired you to be where you're at right now.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm an ex-military. I served in the United States Army. I was an infantry sergeant when I got out. I did a total of 7 years, which included active and some reserves and guard duty. I was deployed to Bosnia in '97 and enjoyed my time in the Army. I got some bruises and banged up quite a bit, especially if you're in the infantry and you get deployed, it gets kind of rough. Well, I got out and got into law enforcement. The only thing I'd ever done was, chase bad guys overseas and learn how to shoot real well. So that fit real good with law enforcement. So I got hired on, went to police academy. When I went to police academy, my wife had our first daughter, our first child. So our Mabel was born January 1st, 2000. She was the first baby born in the Northport Hospital. And so I went to police academy for 12 weeks on January 3rd. So that was probably not the best decision, but it was a decision that I had to make. And so got into law enforcement, did that, worked drugs, narcotics, lost a few buddies there as well. And my wife was like, John, please, can you do something else? And it was wearing on my marriage. My marriage was in shambles, falling apart. I was a young man in my mid-20s. And so literally just turned and just gave my life just turned my life back over to Christ, and it changed my life. And so what I did is I was a pretty good high school football player, and I had gotten recruited by a number of colleges. Gene Stallings actually recruited me from Alabama. And so at 25 years old, I walked on over at University of North Alabama and played linebacker. I had two children. Went back to school, got a pre-med biology and chemistry degree, graduated with honors, and got into the healthcare world. And that's where it all started for me. I got into healthcare sales a few years in, started my own business. A few years in, sold my first business, and for a decent amount of money. And that's where it all started. And did the fast forward that there was some more acquisitions and transitions, but still own a healthcare company today, a government contracting business today. But 5 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm sitting here mentoring and coaching a lot of veterans, a lot of ex-law enforcement, and just a lot of guys in general, athletes as well, on how to create a business, what's your why, what motivates you to get up every day. And so I said, I'm going to practice what I preach. And I saw this commercial about getting into real estate. So I said, you know what? Why not? I got government contracting, I've got health care. Let me try this, and I'm going to apply everything that I have done in the previous years, and I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to practice what I preach. And that's about the same time I felt the Lord I felt the tug to write a book, to share my experiences, my marriage experiences, my fatherhood. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We have 6 beautiful children. We now have 2 grandsons and 2 more on the way. But anyway, that's so I got into real estate. And fast forward, I now own 3 real estate brokerages, and this is all in 5.5 years. I own 3 real estate brokerages. I've recruited over 50 plus agents. We're in 2 states now. We're fixing to be in 3. And so that's kind of the elevator pitch, even though it's kind of long, but that's where we are now. I've wrote my book. It's in the editing, publishing stage right now. Our goal is to get it released by July 1st. but I kind of do bits and pieces on my social media. So, on our Instagram page, I do a lot of talking about real estate and really mentoring and coaching there. And then on social media, on my Facebook social media side, I'm more of the entrepreneur and stuff like that. So, anyone out there with social media, I'd love to, you follow me on Instagram at john.berryhill. Or social media, just look up Jonathan Berryhill. And then my website is johnberryhill.com. But that's kind of my story of who I am. We live on our family farm. All my children live on the farm. They all have houses with their spouses. They all work for the company or one of the companies. They may not be the one company. So my son-in-law works for our healthcare side. My son is the VP, so he kind of floats on both sides of real estate and healthcare. I strongly am just real estate. But that's kind of where we are. We also raise quarter horses on our farm here in North Alabama. So, and living the, as I tell my wife and I tell folks, we're living our dream life. We're still working hard. We still got a lot of goals that we want to achieve. We want to leave a legacy for our grandsons. And so, and our grandkids. I'm sure one day somebody's going to have me a granddaughter, but just super thankful and excited to be able to share my story to hopefully inspire, some veteran, some ex-law enforcement, some military, ex-collegiate athlete, or just someone in general that once they read it, maybe they'll pick up a nugget and say, I can do that. And that's the reason I'm sharing. I just hope to inspire inspiration, create hope for someone else out there, kind of where I was when I was broken, my marriage was on shambles and stuff like that.
Well, I'm so glad you made it. And let me say this. Thank you so much for your service. We're very military proud in this family and in this business right here as well. But again, thank you for all you've done and all you will continue to do. Let me ask you a question, because people define success different ways. How would you define success?
I would define success the same as I would define wealth, and that's living life on your own terms. And so what does that look like? It looks different for everyone. I want to be able to plan my own hours. I want to be able to take my family on trips. I want to spend the most time with my family as I can. That's what it looks like to me. And so I understand there's going to be some sacrifices to where, could I achieve more in the financial aspect of things? Potentially, yes. And I still think I'm doing a good job at that. We're growing, but I'm not going to give up the time that I gave up years ago, whereas I was just focused on other things. I was drifting, excuse me, as I like to say. So, success is going to look different for everybody. You just have to figure out, what do you want in life and who you are. I'm real big on my book on, what your identity is. And so, success is going to be different for everyone.
What wakes you up in the morning and gives you the drive to make it work?
My beautiful wife, my children, and now my grandchildren. So like I told you before, I about wrecked my marriage. I was being unfaithful and just really just wondering. You talk about drifting. And so I woke up, this was back in the early 2000s. I woke up, God woke me up one night and just laid this conviction on my heart that I knew I was doing wrong. And so, I picked up the phone, called my wife and begged her forgiveness and said, if you take me back, I will give you a life that, you can only dream of. I'll work my tail off. And so between that prayer and everything and getting out and working my tail off, I feel that I'm doing a pretty good job. My wife tells me so. And so, that's my drive. That's my why, as they say. My why is my wife, my children, and now my grandchildren.
My husband and I own our own business also. It's just the show. And I'm into all the natural healings and everything. You should see the farm we have right now. We have herbs and all kinds of things out here. And a lot of the show is about that, is how to live naturally, and
that's awesome.
Buy big pharma is the way we look at it in this
family. I am 100% on board with you. Actually, one of my sons, his name is Micah. He's 20. He's going to be 21 years old here in not too long. He goes out on our farm and he harvests herbs. He harvests mushrooms. He'll create tinctures for us. He'll create salves for us. So we're real big into holistic and natural approaches.
Oh, we have to get together. Ask him if he has the comfrey plant, COMFREY. It is a lifesaver. COMFREY. And it takes a while to get it to growing, but once it does, make sure you put it in where you want it to be, okay? Because it will just explode. load after about the second year. But yeah, I mean, all these things are absolutely wonderful. Well, let me ask you another question, because a lot of spouses can't work together. Now, my husband and I do. We've been in business for 30 something years, and we used to own an internet company, and we had a cell phone company. Remember those Nextel phones that used to be out
I
there?
do.
Okay, we own 6
Yeah.
locations in Alabama, but we were able to make it happen. But we do 2 different things, and so I was the voice out there, the communicator with all of the businesses and what have you. And my husband does all of the stuff I find boring. It's like, he loves being on the computer. He just loves, putting stuff together like that. But we don't get in each other's way. He handles his part. I handle my part. Now you've got kids involved in the business. How do you make it work? That's always the number one question I get.
Yeah. So, you you have to go into it with a humble approach, as you know. You can, it's not always my way. I'm real big. In my younger years, it probably wouldn't have worked because I was hard headed and I was still breaking free of some of the chains and my identity was forming. But now, as a father, and one of my best things in the world is being a husband and a father. And so I think a lot of it just has to be with just, going into it with humility and in a servant's heart, because I want them to be happy. I want them to want to work here. I don't want them to be, you can see some toxic relationships with, in parents or family working together. And I don't want that at all. They know they have the freedom. My son, he played college football. He ended up playing college football at Western Carolina University. He worked on his business and administration law degree. And so I didn't know if he was going to want to come home and work for the family, although I gave him the option. But he did. He wanted to come home. When he first left, he's like, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go spread my wings. I'm going to probably end up down in South Florida. And I said, what are you going to do in South Florida? I don't know, but we're going to do something. I may play in the NFL. And so I told him, I said, dream big, buddy, go out. Well, he called me one day. I'll never forget it. I was on the farm. I think I was messing with a horse or something. And he said it was, I think it was about March, right before he finished up in May. And he said, Dad, I'm ready to come home. I want to come live on the farm and I want to work with you if you'll have me. And so I said, man, are you kidding? This is a dream for me. So having him come home, my son-in-law and daughter were already working for the family business. She's the oldest. Mabel's the oldest. And so Mabel and her husband work for the company, although Mabel is now more stay at home with my grandson. Then you have Lily and Levi, Levi's my second. He's married to Lily. She works for the company. Levi works for the company, and she's about to have our third grandson, her second child. And then my next oldest is Micah, the one I told you goes out and picks herbs and mushrooms and stuff like that. Because we have we usually get a lot of good morels. This year we didn't get a bunch of morels, and I love to eat morel mushrooms. They're great. But he also works for the company. And then I have Noah, Adam, and Millie still at home. They're still being homeschooled. Noah just finished up. He works on the farm full time. He makes sure everything's took care of and stuff like that. And Adam and Millie are still in school. But going back to what you said, it's just, having a servant's heart, trying to create the environment that they want to be in, that other employees want to be in. We've got some employees that's been with us for a while since I've started the business. And I think it's just all about the atmosphere you create, the culture, as they say. You're either creating a culture or it's creating itself. So you got to be careful and make sure you create a good culture.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So everybody hang in there. Did that not went by pretty fast, didn't it? We'll be right back.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
You know, finding the right home isn't just about bedrooms and square footage. It's about comfort, security, and the feeling you get the moment you walk through the door. That's why so many families across Greenwood and the Lakelands area trust Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams. And I'll tell you from personal experience, Jenny was my realtor, and she truly cares about her clients. Jenny takes the time to listen, to understand what matters most, and to guide you every step of the way, whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or ready to sell. Because this isn't just a transaction, it's your life. With local knowledge, personal care, and a commitment to getting it right, Jenny Ferguson makes the process simple and even enjoyable. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, now's the time to make your move. Call Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams in Greenwood today and take the next step toward a place you'll truly love coming home to. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Medical Minute brought to you by Dr. Chuck with Lakelands Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. So what is the Beamer? Okay, now the Beamer uses very gentle pulse to electromagnetic signals. This will stimulate healthy muscles and it supports the temporary blood flow. Now let's talk Beamer and circulation support. Now the Beamer gently supports natural circulation in healthy muscles. Now that's what I call natural health. Thank you so much for watching your Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Chuck. You know who he's with. He's with Lakelands Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. I hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the afternoon. You take care. Shine your style at Kiss My Glass right here in the Anderson Mall. There's a place where style meets sparkle. At Kiss My Glass, every piece is handcrafted, custom designed, and made to shine just like you. Owner Beth Gibson brings creativity to life with stunning custom tumblers, gifts, and one-of-a-kind pieces you won't find anywhere else. Look for the perfect gift or something uniquely you, from bold and glamorous to simple and elegant. There's something for every style, so stop by, get inspired, and leave with something unforgettable. Kiss My Glass inside the Anderson Mall, Anderson, South Carolina, where your sparkle begins. Be sure to check out Kiss My Glass on Facebook for updates and specials and gift ideas.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for being with us. You're the reason we do what we do. That's why we have Jonathan Berryhill with us right now, and he's talking about being in business. So let me ask you this, because I worked the corporate world for a long time. I was with GTE when nobody had a cell phone. That was tough. And my accounts for the government and the government and business accounts. And it was fun. I've loved everything I've ever done. I know you have too. But sometimes you just have to leave a particular world to start another one. But I'm going to tell you what, a lot of folks have an issue jumping away from a good, cushy corporate job into owning their own business. I've never looked back. I love owning my own business. I can say what I need to say, and I can just do it. I don't have to wait on the chain of command to make a decision. I just look at Phil and say, I'm ready to do it. He's looking at me right now laughing. Yeah, that's all I have to do. I say, I'm ready to do it. Let's just jump in. So what about the person who's, they're in their box. They're very comfy right there in their box. They have grand ideas, but they're overlooked in the corporate world. What would you like to say to that person?
I would say comfort is the number one killer to success. Comfort's the number one killer to growth. And so, comfort is a great thing, and it's cozy and warm and stuff like that. But, if you want to grow, you don't go to the gym and get cozy. You go to the gym to work out and to sweat and to build muscle. You don't go walk to get cozy. You can't get too cozy in anything in life. Whether it's a relationship or work or anything like that. But I would say this. Take that leap of faith. I'm a big proponent, even though I own other businesses such as in the healthcare, government contracting and stuff. Real estate is a huge, huge opportunity for those to take that leap of faith, even on a part-time basis. We on my Instagram page, I offer it's called the Agent Blueprint Playbook. It's what I did over the last 5.5 years to build a 7-figure commission real estate agency, or as a real estate agent. And it has in there an online link that you can go and get your real estate license at home. You can take the course at home, and then you can take your state exam, and you can do it part-time. I'll tell you a quick story. I had one gentleman, his first closing ever as a real estate agent within his first 90 days, paid him $36,000 on a commission. Now that's not normal. It was a good deal, but he met a person, I think at a restaurant. They became friends. Next thing you know, he listed his property, sold it. So, real estate's a great part-time to start a full-time career. I always say real estate license is it can make an average to below average person earn an above average income by getting your real estate license. And you can do it part-time if you want. But a lot of I've got I think 51 or 52 agents now. Half of them are part-time, half of them are full-time, and a lot of the full-times were part-time in the beginnings, but they took that leap of faith. So, I just encourage, take that leap of faith, believe in yourself, focus on the results, and then just get out there and do it.
So what states are you in? You mentioned Alabama. What are the other two?
Alabama, Tennessee, and we're about to be licensed in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're looking to grow. We're adding brokerages. I just launched my new land real estate brokerage called America's Outdoor Realty. So we're excited. That's aor-land.com. So we actually are talking to some other brokers in other states in joining us.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good idea. So let me ask you about one extremely important thing about being in business, even if it's only a 2-person operation, and that's your views on customer service.
Yes. Yeah, my views on customer service is your customers are everything. That's your lifeblood.
They're wrong, they're right.
So, yes.
Even if they're wrong, they're right.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you just have to, we had a lunch today with an agent, and I told him, I said, listen, in real estate, you're going to meet some of the nicest, sweetest, coolest people, but you're also going to meet some not so nice, some, maybe they're a little bit jerks or whatever you want to call them, and I said, you know what, you just got to turn the other cheek and just say, you know what, you got to be thankful for all the other ones that are good.
Oh, something I've noticed though, those are the hardest nuts to crack, but once they are cracked, they are loyal to you for absolutely ever. And it's not you they're mad at. It's something that happened probably on the way to work. It's maybe they're not happy at home, something like that. But I just don't take it seriously. And because I don't take it seriously, it just doesn't affect me anymore. Now, it used to, but I don't know. I think sometimes we take life too seriously.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's Tony Robbins that says you don't live life, you live the life you focus on. And I guess, and I'm a prime example of that. Now I have some, things that I do when I get up in the morning is, the first thing I do is I start saying things that I'm thankful for. Because a heart of gratitude, it's hard to be angry and upset when you're sitting there saying how much you're thankful for things. Mm-hmm. And so I've practiced that over years and years and years. So, just remember that the life you're living is the life that you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on all the negative, then that's what you're going to be living out. But if you're focusing on all the positive and full of gratitude and thankfulness, then that's going to be the life you live.
Let me ask you another question. This is about biblical principles. So what biblical principles do you install in your business and with your employees?
A lot. So, the book of Matthew talks about, the golden rule, do to others as you would have them do to you, work as unto your master as you're working for the Lord. So we're not doing things here on earth, to please people. We should be doing things to honor our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so that's how we try to do. That's how we try to manage. That's how we try to treat people, each other. And, we try to really, really encourage everyone else to, number one, be positive, be loving, be caring, and stuff like that.
I have a book, and I've got it right up there. It's The Richest Man in Babylon, and it was written by George Clayson. Have you read that book?
I have read that book, yes.
Oh, that is a very, very good book. And it goes on, and it's exactly what Jesus says to do. And you're seeing the songs of Solomon in there too. And so, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. But I met an atheist once, and we were living in Alabama. And this is when Roy Moore was told to take down the 10 Commandments. Remember when
I remember that.
So our church, we all went on the big bus, and we went to Montgomery to kind of a nice protest about that. And nobody threw themselves in the room. Nobody showed out, none of that stuff. But anyway, there was an atheist there. And so I met him. And I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. And I know you're not either. I mean, that's what we're here on earth to do. And so I just said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, wouldn't you at least like for your employees to, go by the 10 Commandments, such as not steal? Thou shalt not steal. Is that not a good principle in your business? And he said, yeah, you got me there. So I mean, whether you are believing in God or not, these are just basic principles to give you a better life.
Absolutely. So I didn't tell you, it's in my book. I ran for state senate back 12 years ago. And one of my closest friends is an attorney in Huntsville. He was my campaign chairman. He had been the governor's chief of staff. His name's Stan McDonald. He's the one that convinced me to run for state senate, and I did. And getting to see all that political stuff and experience all that. But you're absolutely right. We also do not murder. I mean, all those things are like, hey, it's kind of common sense here, And then as a biologist and a chemist, and to me, because my mind starts in Genesis. And so when I see creation, I kind of go to the scripture, Romans 1:20, where it talks about man has no excuse because of the creation. And you see that there's a designer out there. So, I mean, it's so to me, common sense to that, that biblical principles are a good thing to live by. Again, like you said, whether you're atheist or Christian, I'm pretty sure whatever you believe, you don't want to be murdered. You don't want to be hurt. You don't want nobody stealing from you. So, it's not bad to have the 10 Commandments up.
It's a good thing. Absolutely is. One more thing.
Yes.
Okay. If you could give someone who is brand new starting out the business for the first time, what's the number one piece of advice you'd like to give them today?
Don't have short-term goals. A business is supposed to last for years. And I believe, most entrepreneurs that I have mentored and or coached, they have this short-term thinking. Hey, it's been 90 days, it's not working. I'm like, if I would have quit 90 days in, my marriage would maybe been bad, my parenting. You don't go to college for 90 days. So I would just say, plan it out, 2, 3, 4, 5, set some long-term goals, have belief, and then just be positive and be repetitive on what it takes to get it done.
That's what it is. We're going to have to call it a day. Thank you again so much for being with me on the show today, Jonathan. Again, how can folks find out more about you?
JohnBerryhill.com. That's JohnBerryhill.com. JohnBerryhill.com. Or they can go to Instagram at John.Berryhill or Facebook, Jonathan Berryhill. But it was a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for all you've done. And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. Send an email, by the way, and that's Donna at DonnasEdge.com, Donna at DonnasEdge.com. I cherish those emails. Again, thank you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care. Good afternoon, sunshine. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host for Donna's Edge Television, Radio, and Podcast Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always such a fun ride. You make it such a pleasure. I enjoy spending time with you every single day. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's found down in Huntsville, Alabama, out that way. You can also find us on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com, and on the biggest radio station in South Carolina, you're looking at Country Giant 92.3 FM. It's so great to be with you. Great to find them on the dial there as well. Make sure you listen to Benji and Lacey in the morning. They have such a fun show. It's a brother and sister team. They go through their antics, I'm telling you that. But you can find the best in local, in regional, and national news. They'll keep you all sorted out. Oh, and by the way, they have contests all through the week as well. So go ahead and make sure you check them out. Also, you can find us on all the social media sites, that's including Facebook and MeWe, and you can find us on YouTube. If it's social media, we're doing it. So look us up. You'll be glad that you did, because we love giving you the information you need. You can continue sending email. I love it. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. So some of you are wondering, how in the world, how do we do chickens? How do we have our own eggs? I mean, how do you get started doing this in the world? I'm going to tell you, it's just like having kids. Okay, when you've had the first kid, you tend to that kid with tender, loving care. You won't let the kid out of your sight. It has to sleep with you in the bed. I mean, it's all those different things, because you hear a lot of old wives' tales. People give you all the terrible things that could ever happen in child rearing. And then by the time you have the second, the third, fourth youngin', well, then you're looking at things just a little bit different, is what I'm hearing. So the same way with raising chickens. I remember we had the first flock, and Phil and I were just like those scared parents. I mean, it's like, we're not gonna kill them, are we? I mean, you bring them in from the store. We found ours at a really good local national chain, and so we found ours, and again, we were scared to death. I mean, it's just like, what if they smother at night? What if I don't have it warm enough? What if I don't have it cool enough? All those things. Just let nature take its course. And I have found you don't have to treat them like little tiny helpless beings. They'll stand on their own 2 feet, and they're very resilient. Care for them, of course. Make sure they're fed. Make sure they have clean water, good food, all those things. Keep it clean, all those wonderful things. But I'm going to show you a really quick video, and I think you'll enjoy this. This is me out looking at the chickens. And so let's see what you think about it. By the way, there's no better egg than your own flock's eggs. Okay, we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Okay, so let's do some chicken watching right now. So we have some baby chicks, and I'm calling them the teenagers now. We got these on May the 1st, and now it's June the 22nd. You can see how much they've grown. But I'll have to tell you, I'm not treating them so much like babies anymore. I'm giving them like bread. They love bread, by the way. They love corn, and they love worms. And so that's an Easter egger right there. I don't know if that's going to be a rooster. I got a feeling it might be. But take a look at them. They kind of make me, if this is a rooster, I'm going to call in General Lee, because they have this look to them, almost like back in the olden days during the war between the states. You remember how the guys had these real weird looking whiskers on the side? Yeah, I'm not sure what you call them, but this is what the Easter eggers look like. And they're beautiful girls, and possibly boy right there. And I just like the looks of them. Now, what I'm hearing about the Easter egger is the Easter egger could have different color eggs. I mean, they could be, it's like why they call them Easter egger, I suppose. They could be red, kind of a pinkish red. They could also be blue. They could be green. Some even do white, if they really want to get out there. But they're beautiful little girls, and they're as tame as they can be. Now, these chicks right here, the black ones that you see right here, I'm not sure what kind they are. I'm kind of leaning toward barred rock. I'm thinking that could be what they are. And there's another one. Isn't she pretty? Let me get you a little close up so you can see them. Oh, now don't fuss with each other. They get jealous sometimes. Now this time of the year, make sure they've got plenty of water and make sure you keep it clean as much as you possibly can. They like to play in the water, so sometimes it doesn't quite work out. But we like to keep them on top right now. Now we're about ready to put them in with the other girls. But right now we're kind of keeping them apart because the other girls want to be bullies. All right, now look at this one. See what I'm talking about? I don't know if you can see through the screen. See, it looks almost like an old Civil War picture you've seen of a Civil War military person. Beautiful feathers. I'd never seen any like that before. And they're very friendly girls. Now they're mean to each other. They will peck on each other. Okay, now I'm going to let you see our other girls. Every time I come in, they've got to see what's going on. Chickens can be just a little bit on the nosy side. This is Barred Rock. Now, I call her Blondie, rock star. I know it sounds odd that I would name chickens. But these are my girls, and they lay eggs for us. Even in the winter time, out of 8 hens, we were getting at least 5 to 6 to mostly 6, and sometimes 7 eggs a day. Adding the new ones, I don't know what we're going to get. Now this rooster is so majestic. We call him Gentleman Dan. And let me tell you about this guy. I don't know if Phil taught him or what the deal was. He will not eat until the girls eat. When I throw food out there to them, I'm going to show you. Let me get some corn. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And we like to keep all of their food protected. We use these trash cans so that, pests and stuff can't get in it. Okay, let's do some cracked corn. I got to show you what she does. She likes to eat it out of the cup. Yeah, she's a pretty girl. All right, now we've got to share with everybody else, okay? So let's go on ahead and put it out here for everybody else too. Now watch how he acts. Gentleman Dan will not touch the corn until he knows the girls have eaten. He just stands there like he's watching over them, which is a nice thing. Thus, we call him Gentleman Dan. Okay, let's go ahead and pour a little bit more corn out there to you girls. See what they think. There you go. See, he just won't eat. He waits until they finished, and then he gets what's left over. Now, is that a gentleman? That's what you call a gentleman. Now, see the teenage girls? See what they're doing? They see I'm feeding the big girls, so I got to give them some. Now, what they'll do, they'll scatter just a little bit. All right, so you want to gently pour it in there so they got to scatter just a little bit. All right, now, let's go to the corn. There you go. Now, they're kind of all for one and one for all. See there, Gentleman Dan, he's finally eating some corn. Thank you for being such a gentleman. Thank you so much. We keep lots and lots of water in here for them. Now, outside, I'll have to show you what another thing we've done for the chickens, because we've got a lot of hawks around here, and a lot of people say, oh, free range, and I believe in free range too, but I put a limit on the free range. So as you can see, what Phil put some shade cloth up here so it's not so dreadfully hot out here for them. Yeah, we treat them really nicely because we appreciate the eggs, and we thank them every single day for the eggs. All my corporate friends are saying Donna has went nuts. No, I'm just thankful. Okay, Gentle Dan, we like to throw grass out there for them, but now what we do, and I learned this from a cousin, Brian, who had cattle. And so what Brian would do is close off some of the fencing so that more grass could grow. So what we're growing out here in this one little perimeter right here, we're growing ryegrass and clover. And I'm telling you, they love it. They absolutely love it. Now, what we'll do, we're going to let it grow just a little bit more. And so Phil has, I don't know if you can see this. There's a little door he made, and we tied it up with copper wire because it's easy to work with. So what we'll do is open up that gate in just about 2 more weeks. I continually plant seed out there. And when it rains, they love the rain. And they've eat this down, by the way. This is grass that we had planted in here. But what we'll do is we'll take them out of this perimeter. We'll let them walk through the little part right there. Then they'll walk on through, and then they'll come down here and we'll let them eat this grass. Now, while they are eating this down, which they will do, I promise you, we're going to have this part open for them right here. We'll close that up, and I'll put some more seed in there. And so this is what we do for the girls. Yeah, they're spoiled rotten. Another thing is they turn their water over a lot. So we found this old piano bench, and it was in one of the buildings out here. The folks who used to live here had it. So we finally found a way they can't turn the water over. So it just sits right here in there. We change it out every day, twice a day, and change that out so they can have good fresh water. And I don't care how clean you try to make this water, they're going to find a way to make it messy. It seems that they really, I heard you. Are you wanting something else to eat? Are you ready to eat something else? There's plenty back in there. Okay, but as you can see, I was talking about pests, and we have a lot of hawks in this area. So Phil did put a top. There's a top to this perimeter, and of course to that one. And the perimeter here has also wire on top of it. And then there's also this cloth on top of that end. And so these girls, they get spoiled pretty good. Now, we'll tell you something else they love. I don't know if they're digging a tunnel to China or what they're doing, but anyway, you can see little dugout areas here. And sometimes I think it's the way they keep cool, or maybe they get a dry bath. Who knows what they're thinking. But anyway, you can see little parts right here where they dug it out, and they just sit in it in the heat of the day sometimes, and then sometimes in the cool of the day. But I like to get extra grass for them and just kind of throw it out here, and they've eaten just about everything I put out this morning. Another piano bench. The big girls, I'm telling you what, we're going to have to restructure that again. They've already broken that down. But they need a place to roost. I hear you. She wants my attention. So Phil has also built this roost. There'll be plenty of ways for them to roost, and we keep lots and lots of water. Now, let me tell you another thing about water. Make sure with the water, you put, say, to a gallon, you want to put at least 4 tablespoons of just cheap white vinegar in there. And it's just going to keep it, funky stuff from growing in it. And again, we collect jugs and vinegar jugs. And I like the vinegar jugs because they're really good, sturdy ones. And also the kitty litter ones are real good ones because they're very sturdy as well. But yeah, look at you. You want to go in there? You about to lay an egg? Is that why you're so grouchy right now? Okay. All right. And again, good water. Make sure the water is good and flowing. That's April, by the way. She's our senior girl. She's been with us for about 5 years now. And we brought her with us when we moved. Just couldn't let her stay. Had to bring her. She's part of us. Okay. Mentioned the barred rocks. The lighter colored one is Blondie. And the one right behind her right there is Joan Jett. Yeah, I know, we name them. This one is Junior. I know it's a girl. We call her Junior. And the reason we call her Junior is she looks so much like April. There was originally a trio of these 3 of them. And April, May, and June is what we named them. And then April, she's from the original trilogy, I guess you could say. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to talk about eggs and why eggs are so good for you. Let's see what we've got in here. I think we've had a few layers. Yeah, there's an egg down there by itself. And there are 3. Sometimes they just get together and just, I've seen 2 to a nest before, and these are not like huge nests, but they like it. So that they feel at home. We have little signs and stuff for them, so not that they care. But this is when they were established, the Chick Inn, and it was established 2025. Thanks for watching.
There you go. They are so much fun to raise. And they'll just keep you laughing, and some of my other corporate friends have told me about, they still have their corporate jobs and stuff, but when they come in, they want their backyard chickens, and that's what to do. And I'm just going to, it's just a great, great life. It is so much fun. Let's go ahead and go into a commercial break, and we shall return in just a few minutes, and I'll give you some ideas on how you raise chickens. Okay, we are back. It's a fun subject. We love talking about chickens. And if you don't have chickens and you've been buying your eggs from the grocery store, they're good. It's just that they're a little bit different when they're homegrown. And if you have a local farmer's market, go check it out because a lot of the farmers will bring their eggs in for sale. And they look different. And I'm just telling you, they're all around different. I make sure they're as fresh as possible. And let me tell you a little secret about eggs and why they last a lot longer when you buy them from a local farmer. But there's a little film of something that the eggs or that the chickens actually put around the egg when they're after they've laid the egg. And it basically it protects that egg, and the egg is going to last a lot longer. Have you noticed when you buy from a local farmer's market or from one of your neighbors who is a farmer, the eggs will last for months? It's because it has that little protective film around it. Now, when you buy eggs from the grocery store, they've been cleaned, and which is a great, I understand the process. They've been cleaned, but the problem is when they clean them, that little protective film over the egg is removed because they, use detergent to clean it with. So anyway, you want to keep that around. As a matter of fact, the people who buy eggs from me always ask, the first timers will ask and clean the eggs. And I'll say, no, you're going to get eggs. You're going to have feathers on them. I mean, there's going to be dirt on them. They're not going to be clean. That's going to be up to you to do. But they will last. I've had eggs that have been like that I've forgotten about, that were like months old. We have an old refrigerator out in Phil's workshop, and sometimes I load it down with eggs. And I have found some that just, I didn't keep up with the inventory, and so I got them out, and they were just like fresh eggs. And so anyway, that's the secret behind that. I've got one more little quick video that I'd like for you to look at. It's only a couple of minutes or so, but I think you'll enjoy it, and then we shall be right back. Another thing I wanted to mention about the chickens is they fertilize very well. As a matter of fact, this goes on the garden. And I wanted to go ahead and take a quick video so you can see real quick. I'll be raking all this up, putting it in a wheelbarrow, and I'll be putting this in all throughout the gardening area. The best manure you can have is chicken manure as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to be cleaning this one out. Phil and I are going to be cleaning this one out as well. They are the original recyclers because what they'll do is they eat you out of house and home, and then their droppings will be mixed into this awesome, I like to use the wood chips or the wood shavings is what I'd rather use. I've used chips before, but I think the shavings are better. But you can already see just under, because this was just like barren. And so as you can see, that's rich right there. So I'll be getting that and showing it out on the garden and on the compost pile. And when I get through doing that, let's see what that looks like. There you go. And one more word about fertilizer. Fertilizer, you really do need to break that up. The fertilizer is so powerful that it comes from your chickens. It hasn't been filtered down. It's just pure fertilizer. And so what we like to do is mix it in with our soil. And then sometimes we put a little perlite in it too. And it just really breaks down. Never, ever put the fertilizer directly on your plants. It's just too potent. And what's going to happen is it's going to burn your plants, and it'll get down into the roots, and it'll burn them up too. So you really do need to. This is one thing that's an all-natural thing that you do need to make sure that you do filter it out some. Okay, let's talk a little bit about starting with chickens. And it's fun to choose your chickens. So just a few common beginner-friendly breeds and that you absolutely will love, and they are good egg layers too. That's the Rhode Island Reds. Now, we have Rhode Island Reds. They are real hardy, good egg layers, and they're going to, like April. Oh, I may have told you wrong. She might be older than 6 years old, but April is still laying eggs. Now, she doesn't lay as many per week as she used to, but I'm just telling you, she's a good contender. Your Plymouth Rock, those are good. They're friendly and they're productive. I mean, it's like having a pet dog around. Also, there's one, it's called the Australope, and it's an excellent egg production layer as well. The Orpington is calm and it's family friendly. Little kids can be around that one. You don't have to worry about it. You can build or buy a coop each chicken needs. And let me tell you about that. As far as a square foot per chicken, you need about 3 to 4 square feet inside the coop for each chicken. That's why we've had to expand, because now we have 16. Wow, we have 16 chickens now. Wow, we really grew that number. We'd been getting about 6 to 7 eggs per day. When we get the other chickens, so the little teenagers ones is what I'm calling them. When we get them established and they start laying eggs, which is probably going to be somewhere close to October. I mean, no, probably sooner than that. Probably somewhere around August, late to September is when they'll start laying, because we got these chickens about the same time of the year we got the other babies. And so we'll be probably getting over a dozen a day, which is a lot of eggs. But now we use a lot of eggs too. I have my egg every day. I love boiled eggs. That's part of my breakfast. Now Phil loves omelets, and he likes scrambled eggs. I like eggs over easy. I think they're really good, but you have never baked a cake until you have baked a cake with your own fresh eggs or your farmer's market eggs. There's something about it. I mean, the egg, the batter is really fluffy, like it's almost a foam-like. And when you mix the eggs, like this is another thing when you're baking your cake, if you're going ahead and fluff up the eggs just a minute or so with your beaters, or if you're doing it by hand, some people do it cakes by hand. I do sometimes, but I don't want to get the mixer out. Go ahead and fluff it up first, then add the sugar and maybe if you're using vanilla flavoring or whatever, mix all those ingredients together, and then put maybe if you're using either lard or you're using shortening or butter, make sure you kind of get it really soft, and then lay it out to room temperature, or put it in the microwave for just a few seconds, just so it's kind of really fluffy like. And then mix that in with the egg mixture, and then put your flour in along with whatever liquid you're using. I usually use buttermilk for mine. And I'm just telling you, it's the best cake ever, and it's extremely moist, but I will give you caution, okay? The cake will fall apart. So if you're you're going to a family reunion or, something, and you want to make sure the cake holds together, keep it in the oven just a little bit longer than it states, so that the cake will hold together. Otherwise, you've got a good cake, but it's an ugly cake. So I have to tell you, my family likes my ugly cake, so I don't even worry about it. But even at family reunions, I'm going to throw an ugly cake out there because that's the one that's eat. And that's what you want when you cook, pretty, but you also want something that everybody's going to eat and not just look at it and afraid to cut it. So no worrying about that with me. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the chicken run. Now, when you have an outdoor run, you want to make sure that that it's big around enough also for the girls to run around. Now, we have a big enough perimeter inside. We have 3 perimeters outside. You saw that in the first video. And there's plenty of room. So sometimes what we'll do is cut one off so we can have grass growing in the other one, and then have maybe 1 or even 2 vacant sometimes. And then while they're eating that up, we'll close off another one and put more seed in. But I'm just going to tell you, they'll eat it down, roots and all. It'll be barren where absolutely nothing grows in it if you're not careful. Another thing we like to do with the girls, they love lettuce and they love cabbage. They love anything green. And what we like to do is hang it up, and it's exercise for them too. So it's almost like watching them play volleyball or something. And they'll get around when you get that broccoli, especially broccoli, and they'll just chip at it. They'll eat, I'm telling, stem and all, just because you put it up like that. But they love reaching and grabbing. And so by purpose, we went on ahead and put another box out, but we made it lower. And the reason we did that is they love comfrey leaves. So if I have some comfrey leaves that I don't want to use in my cosmetics, maybe they're a little broken, they got little pieces on them or whatever, I just don't like using those for facial and products. I'm using salves and things like that, or tinctures or anything else. So I'll break those up into pieces and I'll use it around the trees. I'll use it and make a tea out of it, for fertilizer, or I'll feed it to my girls. Again, Gentleman Dan waits until the girls have eaten, then he goes in and grabs him some of it as well. Let's talk about nestling boxes. Now, we're having a problem with them all wanting to use the 2 uppers and on the one on the left. Hardly ever find one to use the one on the right. And Phil has also made 6 more boxes. Now, maybe when the new girls get out there, they'll want to use something else. But it's not uncommon for us to go out and check on the girls and see 3 of them in one of those boxes. I mean, it blows my mind. And then sometimes we'll go check out the eggs in the daytime and you'll see 5 in one box instead of them using the boxes Phil already has. But I think it's because chickens are kind of, they have one leader usually and everybody else is a follower. So I think if one goes in a nest and lays an egg, the rest of them think that's where they need to lay an egg. We've not had any problems with them eating the eggs or anything like that. That was something somebody told me once to really watch out for that. But so far, we haven't had that problem. But nesting boxes, you want to have about 1 box per 3 to 4 hens. And Phil has already established that. So when the other girls get up bigger, the teenagers, and they start laying eggs, there's going to be plenty of boxes for everybody to go around. But they seem to do it in shifts. That's something else we've noticed. Generally speaking, we look and there is Blondie may be sitting on a box, and then Joan Jett may be in the one next door. And then sometimes Junior comes in and she sits up there in one. And but they have shifts, I think, that they work. I guess they go, your turn. First shift is over. It's time for second shift workers. But they are so fun to watch. Now, hens love roosting bars. And so Phil has built quite a few of those. They just love that. I mean, they just love setting up and they sit on the roost and they sleep on that. It's hard to imagine as big as they are, like those little legs they have and the little feet and then a big body. It's like, how do they hold themselves up? But they do. They have a way. Nature makes it happen. You want to make sure you got good ventilation without drafts coming in, especially when you have the little young babies. Now, when you get the babies, you want to have a heat lamp and use that. I took these girls, they started growing pretty fast. So I took them off of the roost, or took them off the heat lamp when they were about 3 weeks old. And now yours may not work that way. And it could have been we had a little warmer weather than usual. So anyway, I took them off and started feeding them. They're still eating their baby food because it has so much protein and everything in it. But I'm feeding them cracked corn. I started feeding them cracked corn by the time they were 3 and 4 weeks old. They love bread. There's a store called the Dent Store, which is in our area, and they have bread marked down to like really inexpensive. And it's like the really good bread, that has nuts in it and stuff like that and seeds, and they love it. I mean, I'll get it and break off little pieces and they just go to pieces when I feed them that bread. Okay, ventilation is a must. You got to have great feed and water. We mentioned the feed, but now try to clean their feed out, their water out as much as you possibly can. And I promise you, by the time you clean it out, they're already up in it, making a mess in it, but do the best you can. The key, I think, is probably changing out the water. So you got fresher water. We like to keep vinegar in the water. We keep it in jugs, and keeping vinegar in it is going to keep the funky stuff out. You know what I mean? And it won't mold. And you don't want that. And you want to change out the jugs. So we use a process where the younger stuff, the younger jugs are at the back, but at the front, we've got the older jugs. So that way we're recycling, and that works. That way we know that they've got good fresh water. And it doesn't take long. I'm just going to tell you, you'll use a lot of water in just one day. Make sure you use the complete chicken feed appropriate for their age. Again, I started all the babies off with the baby. I call it the baby food. And it's designated for that. And you can get it in the big bags. It's a lot cheaper if you get the big bags, if you got a lot of chickens like we do. Our chickens also like the worms. They're kind of like dehydrated worms. They love those. But no, those are for a treat. It's not a meal. Okay. So after they've had their breakfast and after they've had their lunch, maybe sometime around, maybe after hours, 2 or 3 o'clock or something like that, feed them those worms. And they will definitely appreciate that. That you feed them and you're kind to them. Don't hit at them. Treat them like the awesome animals that they are, and they are awesome animals. They're going to feed you eggs every day. And remember when eggs got up to $7 and $8 a dozen? Well, I'm ready in case that ever happens again. So just wanted to let you know. Okay. I got to call it a day. Thank you so much.
Hello, this is Maury Yancey, President of the Lake Guntersville Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce staff, board, and membership proudly cheer the Wildcats on to victory. When you shop local, you are supporting the future of our young people. The Lake Guntersville Chamber of Commerce, cheering on the Wildcats.